guys, welcome back, and today I have a video that a lot of you have been asking me about. I got at least 6 or 7 emails from people saying, please do your next video on identifying Wave 1 cards. Well, you asked, so you shall receive. Today we're going to go over what Wave 1 is, how to find out if your cards are Wave 1, and what I think they'll be worth in the future. So we're going to do something a little new today where I'm going to kind of do a series of cuts to different sections that I'm discussing. And it's for a stupid reason. It's because the lighting in my room is really bad. So I kind of have to keep moving my setup so that it could be in the light. I actually recorded this video a while ago and I had to delete it because it was so dark and grainy that I didn't want to subject anyone to it. So without further ado, let's get started on what Wave 1 cards actually are. Now let's start off by talking about what are Wave 1 cards. Now Wave 1 refers only to the Opus I set and refers to the initial print run. For those of you who don't remember, Final Fantasy TCG was sold out on launch. You could not get this anywhere in stores. It was basically just pre-ordered up the wazoo. And if you remember back to that time, Opus I booster boxes skyrocketed to like $200-300 because all the sellers kind of wanted to scalp everyone for them because there was high demand and very low supply. Thankfully, Square Enix has went ahead and solved that problem by adding a bunch of distributors. I heard they actually got really mad at GTS distribution about those issues, so that's not a problem anymore. But with that said, Wave 1 had a print run where basically it has several issues that are unique to only the initial print run of the cards. It was corrected in all future reprints. Now, unlike other card games like Pokemon, there's nothing in Final Fantasy TCG to signify that a card is first edition. You kind of have to just figure that out through kind of knowing other knowledge about the cards. So Wave 1 cards are the first print cards, but you'll notice that there's nothing on these cards that actually say, first edition or anything like that. But there's a bunch of other markers that we're going to talk about as the video moves forward that kind of let you know that they are first print cards. For all you collectors out there, you all know that first print cards are always the most valuable cards, even if the difference is almost, meaningless. Let's talk about these 2 cards, for example, that I dug out of my childhood collection. Do you guys remember Pokemon? Don't these cards look exactly the same? One of them is worth a lot more than the other. Can you tell me which one? If you said this one, you're right. So in Pokemon, they have this thing called shadowless. It refers to this border by the image here. You notice how here it has no shadow and here it kind of has like a darkening effect. This means that this was from an earlier print run than this card. Now Pokemon also has like a first edition badge if it's an actual first edition card, but basically this is like a de facto first edition / second edition card, whereas this is an unlimited edition card. But if you look at them, in all other aspects, they're exactly the same. The abilities are the same, the card's the same, but this one's worth a lot more. And that kind of comes down to the significance of being from an earlier print run when it comes to collecting cards. So I hope that kind of answered your questions on what Wave 1 cards are and why they have more value. Alright, so let's quickly cover my qualifications, because there's nothing worse than watching a video from someone who ends up not knowing anything about what they're talking about. So I have 2 binders here. The left one is a complete Wave 2 non-foil and foil set. I'm not going to browse through all of it because it'll take me forever. And on the right is a complete Wave 1 non-foil and foil complete set. So what's the significance of that? I can tell that a card is a Wave 1 with almost no effort because all I have to do is kind of compare it to my existing set. And if they say it's a Wave 1 card, it better look like the cards in this binder. If they say it's a Wave 2 card, it better look like the cards in this binder. And for your reference, I have a ton, and I mean a ton, of Wave 1 cards. These are just some extra throwaway binders of random Wave 1 crap I have. Like, I don't even know what's in these things. This is probably just random Wave 1 foils. If you look at the cards, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but for those of you experienced collectors out there, you'll know at first glance that these are Wave 1. And this is just, I don't even know what's in here. Random non-foil errata, I guess. So yes, I have a ton of Wave 1 cards. I've spent at least 6 months and over, I'd say well over 100 or 200 purchases figuring out how to get these cards and kind of piecing together multiple collections to build out several full foil and non-foil sets. So I hope that kind of helps you trust me when I kind of go over how to identify Wave 1 cards. Alright, so number 1 is Wave 1 Errata. You probably have seen this already from my previous videos, but these are the only 6 cards that had substantial image or text differences. So the top row, Ramza and Squall, only had a image change, whereas the bottom 4 had a text change. And the Ramza and Squall have the same update, Valifor and Riku have the same update, and Black Belt and Golem have the same update. So I'm only going to show you one of each close up. Now let's start with Ramza. And the Wave 1 will always be on the left and the Wave 1 on the right. I mean Wave 2 on the right, sorry. So if you look at the Wave 1 version, you'll notice that it looks like Ramza is chopping off his own neck. And in the Wave 2 reprints, they reversed the image so that it doesn't look like that anymore. They did that because it looks like he's committing suicide, basically, and the Japanese thought that was offensive and kind of switched the image so no one would kind of get that impression anymore. And if you look at the Squall, it's the exact same story. For the Riku and Valifor, they both have the same update as well. It's a text update. If you look at the card, right here it says owner apostrophe S hands, whereas a reprint say owners apostrophe hands. So this is just like a typical errata, but it does change the card and it makes it really easy to tell if a card is Wave 1 or not. And the last one is kind of a similar thing. Again, Wave 1 on the left, Wave 2 on the right. Now it looks almost exactly the same, but if you look carefully at this word, it says blocked. In all the reprints, it says blocking. So again, this is a very easy way to tell if a card is Wave 1 or not. If it says blocked, it's 100% Wave 1. If it doesn't, it's 100% Wave 2. So those are the image and text differences from Wave 1. And as I said previously in my videos, I think these cards will be worth the most money going forward. And a lot of people are trying to collect these. If you look at some listings on like the Final Fantasy marketplaces, people are specifically selling or looking to buy these cards. So if you're a collector, I'd say out of all the Wave 1 cards, prioritize these. Alright, so there is actually one more card that has an image difference, although it's very minor and only impacts a single card. Now, if you look at these two Ramas, you'll notice that the Wave 1 version has the robe coming through the job template. It is the only card impacted by this in all of Wave 1. Some people told me that Shiva has a similar thing. I stared at the cards, I don't think it's true. So this actually doesn't impact the foil version, so you can only use this on the non-foil version. So this method is really only useful for telling if this specific card is Wave 1 or not, but it is something to note because it's one of the few where it actually impacts the image. Now, difference number 3 is the last guaranteed way of identifying a card as Wave 1. What do I mean by guaranteed? It means that it's a very simple 1-second visual way of identifying a card. The rest of the methods I'm going to go into are much harder and not conclusive. You kind of have to use all of them together to kind of be sure that the card is Wave 1. Whereas with the previous 3 methods, including this one, basically you could just eyeball it and tell in 1 second. So let's look at a card that we already just looked at, the Ramza Wave 1. We definitely know this is Wave 1 because he's chopping off his own head. I failed to note that there's another difference, there's actually 2 more differences, about this card. You notice this colon placement here, how it looks kind of off-center, it's lower, whereas in the Wave 2 one, it's centered. It actually looks a lot nicer in the Wave 2 one. This is kind of a recurring theme in Wave 1 cards. Every Wave 1 card with a special ability has that lower colon placement. So if the card has an ability, you can identify that it's Wave 1 in a matter of seconds. Just look at the ability and you'll find out that it's lower, and then you'll know it's Wave 1. So why don't I just pull out a few of these that have abilities just to prove that to you. So just to remember the order. Alright, so let's look at Furion. Lower colon placement. You see Oron has that lower colon placement. Same thing with Bard, lower colon placement. So pretty much any card with lower colon placement is a guaranteed Wave 1 card, and it's a really easy and effective way of making sure that the card is a first print card. Alright, now we're going to get into the really hard ones. So difference number 4 is crystal height and color shade differences. Now the previous 3 methods, like I said, are kind of guaranteed ways of identifying a card as Wave 1. But with these next few methods, you're really going to have to scrutinize it and work on it. This is not an easy thing to do. But I will say out of the next couple of methods, this is the easiest one. So I'm going to reuse the same cards we did before. So the Ramza, Golem, and the Riku. I lined them up. For each of these cards, the left one is the Wave 1 and the right one is the Wave 2. Now if you look at them, you can already tell that they're not exactly the same, right? I think it comes through well on this Ramza, but it's kind of for all of them. You notice how the crystal color looks a little darker. It's more purple on the right one than the left one. The Golem, it looks like a deeper yellow than the left one. And this green on the Riku also looks darker than the green on the Wave 1. So there are minor color variations between Wave 1 and Wave 2. And the other thing is the crystal height. I think it comes through best on the Golem. On the Golem, it's pretty dramatic. The Golem, it almost touches the top of the card, whereas the Wave 2 one is very centered. In every single case, the Wave 1 crystal is higher than the Wave 2. I'd say the Golem's is the most dramatic, but even with the Riku, let's drop this for a second, I'd say this is the least dramatic. You can still tell that the Wave 1 version is higher. And this usually also is visible on this bottom template. So you notice how when I line them up, it looks like the word forward is lower than the one on the Wave 1 version. This is a recurring theme on the Wave 1 cards. This only works if you have a Wave 2 one on hand, but anytime you're trying to purchase Wave 1 cards from someone, and particularly if you get to do it in person, make sure you compare them side by side, and it'll really make it easier for you to identify a card as Wave 1. Alright, now we're going to get into the really tough ones. Difference number 5 is card texture. So we're going to abuse Ramza and use them again. Wave 1 Ramza, Wave 2 Ramza. Now, the front of the cards feel exactly the same, but the backs, now they probably look exactly the same to you on camera. Maybe you could hear it actually. That's the Wave 1. That's the Wave 2, so it actually kind of sounded the same. Actually, no. It actually does sound a little bit different. You're just going to have to take my word for it that the Wave 1 cards always feel slightly more textured than the Wave 2 cards. Now, this isn't as easy as it sounds. It's not like this one feels like a cactus and this one feels like silk. The difference is very subtle, but it is there. So, I mean, the problem with this method is that you're probably going to be buying these cards online, and obviously you can't feel the cards through your computer screen. So this only works if you're in person, but it is another method you can use to kind of determine if a card is Wave 1. Alright, difference number 6, foiling updates. Now this one's going to be really hard to see on camera, but I'm going to try my best, guys. So between Wave 1 and Wave 2, there were minor changes in the foiling, and this is so hard to tell. So if you look at the special ability, you can tell that the left one is Wave 1 and the right one is Wave 2. So basically the foiling in the Wave 1 cards was a little bit more prominent, but it is so hard to tell. You have to really get it at the right angle in the light. So basically the easiest way to use this method is to kind of, this is actually good. So you notice how I have the light on the card and you could still kind of see the speckling, even though the card's kind of turning duller. You could still see it kind of glistening up there. Now let's do it the Wave 2 card. You'll notice that you see almost no speckling with the light on. Nothing. And just basically the foiling disappears with the light on. Whereas with the Wave 1 version, you still see it. It still kind of shines a little bit even when the light is directly on it. So again, this is a really difficult method to use to kind of judge whether a card is Wave 1, but it is there, so it is something you should know about. Now let's talk about the booster packs. Can you actually tell the difference between a Wave 1 and a Wave 2 Opus 1 booster pack? Now if you look at them, they look pretty much exactly the same, down to the serial numbers and barcodes. So if you look at it, on the top it's 62248817753, and on the bottom it's 9886013266629 for both of them. So in terms of the actual text and images on the booster packs, it's exactly the same. But actually, you can tell the difference. So if someone tries to sell you a Wave 1 booster pack, this is what you have to look for. The only real difference is that if you look at the top, and I hope it shows up well on camera, so the left one is the Wave 1. Do you see this seal here? This lighting is terrible, but if you look at the seal, you'll notice that the Wave 1 one, it kind of has like dashed lines kind of doing the seal, whereas on the Wave 2 one, you'll see that they kind of have weird, like a box seal. You see how it has a kind of like indented boxes everywhere? The Wave 1 booster pack does not have that. The Wave 1 booster pack just has slitted lines, whereas the Wave 2 one has these kind of indented boxes. So that's a dead giveaway. I'll move this. The back is the same. So if you look here, it's slitted lines on the Wave 1 booster pack, and on the Wave 2 one, you see these kind of box-shaped things again. So if anyone ever tries to sell you a Wave 1 booster pack, first of all, it's probably not a good idea because, like I said, in Opus 1, there's 216 cards in the set, and a sealed case is 216 booster packs. So usually when people are selling their Wave 1 booster packs, it's because they probably already opened like 180 to 190 of the packs. So they already know they got all the good cards, and they might know that the remainder of the 26 packs are just garbage cards. So if you buy a booster pack, I would never open it. If you want to own it just for like collector purposes, that's fine, but don't expect to ever crack it and get good cards out of it. So again, to sum this up, make sure you look out for these lines. You want to see these kind of slitted lines when you're looking for a Wave 1 booster packs, and not this kind of boxy thing, because this box thing is only for Wave 2 booster packs. Alright, those are all the differences I'm going to cover today, so why don't I show you some of my collection and then we'll wrap up here. Now people keep asking me like, are these Wave 1 cards going to be worth anything? And my honest answer is I don't know. That really depends on whether or not Final Fantasy TCG succeeds. But if it does, I'm almost 100% sure that these are going to be worth a tremendous amount of money. Now you have to remember what kind of happened to Pokemon and Shadowless. Right now, like a first edition Charizard or whatever versus unlimited Charizard, the price difference is like, I think literally like 100 times more expensive. When a game gets big, people want the first edition cards. Oh my god, I kind of want to show you this for a second. This is my highest Wave 1 Crystal Height card. Look at it, it literally touches the top of the card. I probably should have shown you that as an example when I was doing Crystal Heights. Anyways, sorry, that card always distracts me because I always think it's so interesting. Anyways, so Wave 1 cards, the collectors are already going after them. You guys just don't know it because it doesn't happen out in the open. It's not happening like on eBay and stuff like that. It's mostly happening on places like the Facebook FFTCG marketplace, where all the collectors are secretly reaching out to people, reaching out to vendors, and kind of scooping up all the Wave 1 cards. Do you know how I know that's true? Because I was doing it. I have worked with at least 10 or 15 Final Fantasy TCG vendors online where I had to reach out to the store owners. And sometimes it sucks because the store owners won't know about the cards either. But then once you start asking questions, they'll start thinking like, why does this guy want this? Why is this guy asking about colon heights? And then they'll try to kind of mark up the prices because they start getting onto the fact that they have something slightly more valuable than the norm. So yes, I definitely think that Wave 1 cards will go up in value so long as the card game itself succeeds. Now, if Final Fantasy TCG crashes and burns, then obviously not only do Wave 1 cards have no value, all of the cards, the promo cards, the regular whatever Opus cards, all of them will be worth nothing. So I think that's kind of a common sense thing. If the card game dies, obviously even the first edition cards won't be worth squat. So anyways, I think that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you have any questions about Wave 1 cards that you need addressed, feel free to ask. Clearly I have tons of them. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching and have a great day, guys.